Meet Gregory Wright, a person of interest in a recent armed robbery case in Detroit, Michigan. Back in 1995, on a fateful June 28th, a 22-year-old named Wright committed a daring act of robbery. Armed with a gun, he targeted Gregory Gritchen and made off with his car. However, his escape was far from smooth as he collided with a police cruiser during his frantic getaway. In a desperate attempt to evade capture, Wright even resorted to firing shots, unfortunately injuring an officer in the process. Wright found himself in handcuffs on June 29th, just one day after the incident took place. Currently, he is in court dealing with accusations of armed robbery, possession of a hidden weapon, and firearm usage in the commission of a felony. Wright was presented at court for a pre-trial bond hearing. Judge Izetta Bright granted a bond in the amount of $50,000. Upon hearing that, Wright dashed away. Seven officers finally managed to subdue Wright. After the scuffle, Judge Bright removed the bond and ordered Wright to remain in custody. The case eventually went to trial, and Wright was sentenced to life in prison. Wright's bold escape from the courtroom was surprising. However, how does it measure up to cutting your own throat? For example, Aubrey Trail, a murder suspect in Lincoln, Nebraska, did just that.
We have apparently murdered this lady.
Trail was 52, committed the murder of Sidney Loof with the assistance of an accomplice. Reports state that Bailey Boswell, Trail's partner, met 24-year-old Loof on Tinder and convinced her to come to their apartment. At their home, Trail and Boswell carried out a violent act against Loof, which included using an extension cord, and then proceeded to do disturbing things with her remains using tools they bought from a home improvement store. They wrapped her remains in garbage bags and dumped them along a rural road. Loof's family notified the authorities the following day when she didn't arrive at her workplace. Trail and Boswell left the state and shared multiple videos on social media, claiming they had no part in Loof's vanishing.
Good morning, Lincoln and Omaha and probably several other places. This is Aubrey Trail and this is Bailey Boswell. I guess y'all also know her as Audrey.
They were arrested in Missouri on November 30th, 2017, and charged with first-degree murder and improper disposal of human remains. During interrogation, Trail said that Loof's death was an accident.
Loof died. There was lots of violent sex involved. There was strangulation involved. It was not supposed to go as far as it did, but it did.
Trail entered a plea of not guilty for the murder charges, but admitted to the charges of improperly disposing of human remains.
Next horrible, poor, bad decision was made, and that was to remove the body in pieces.
While in court, Trail tried to commit suicide by cutting his throat with a razor blade he brought in secretly.
Please be seated.
Bailey is innocent and I curse you all.
Stop recording.
He went on to make a full recovery and was later found guilty of all charges. And on June 9, 2021, Aubrey Trail was sentenced to death by lethal injection. He is currently on death row at the Nebraska Reception and Treatment Center. Trail's shocking suicide attempt caused a wave of fear in the courtroom. However, can it be compared to Christopher Clay Rudd's decision to jump off a courthouse balcony? This incident involved Rudd, who was a suspect facing drug charges in Spanish Fork, Utah. Rudd was arrested and presented in court on May 4, 2018, for failing to follow through on court-ordered treatment. A handcuffed Rudd suddenly ran out of the courtroom and jumped over a second-floor railing, falling about 20 feet to the ground below. He survived the fall, but suffered serious injuries, including a broken leg, a fractured pelvis, and a skull fracture. Rudd went to the hospital for medical care and then went back to court to deal with more charges related to his attempted escape. Some believe he might have been trying to harm himself to avoid being sent to prison. Christopher Clay Rudd's leap of faith was truly a dramatic courtroom moment. But how does it compare to having your mouth taped shut?
He's gagging me, putting tape over my mouth at this moment.
Like in the case of Franklyn Williams, a suspect facing multiple charges including armed robbery and kidnapping in Cleveland, Ohio. Williams had previously pleaded guilty to some of the charges, but later withdrew his plea and claimed he was not properly informed about his eligibility for parole. He also cut off his ankle bracelet and fled the state, only to be captured in Nebraska.
Following, the local man was in his second trial back in December for armed robberies in the suburbs, and he showed up for the beginning of the trial, then disappeared, cutting off his ankle bracelet.
Williams claimed he had lost his memory after being...
I lost my mind, I lost my memory. But I don't even remember me going to a trial. That's what I was trying to tell.
During his trial and sentencing hearings, Williams repeatedly interrupted Judge John Russo, the prosecutors, and his lawyers, despite being warned to remain silent.
It's the same rules we played by while we were here in trial, every time we were here for a pretrial. So just follow the same rules. Fair enough? You will get a chance to talk. I'm gonna gag you in 1 second, so just listen to me. Zip it until I give you a chance to talk. You'll get a chance to talk.
He accused Judge Russo of being biased and unfair, and claimed he was being mistreated by the court system.
But the judge would not allow me to talk and get the things that I was trying to say, on record. He would stop me before I was able to explain anything on my behalf.
His constant outbursts led Judge Russo to order his mouth to be taped shut with red duct tape by the deputies in the courtroom. Williams was later sentenced to 33 years in prison by Judge Patricia Cosgrove, who pointed out that Williams already had a long record and now was being convicted of robbing innocent citizens. Williams did not cause any trouble during his second sentencing. He only said, freedom of speech, no duct tape.
Freedom of speech, no duct tape. With the hashtag.